America, yeah. Hello, folks, and welcome to Film Spectacle, where I talk both movies and politics. I'm Spec. Now, I know that my love for this film may come as a shock to some of you because my voice gives off major church girl vibes, but comedy is one of my favorite film genres, and I'm a huge fan of Team America World Police. Comedy, after all, doesn't have to be just an easygoing time with good laughs, but it can also be a vessel for political evolution. I grew up in a conservative home, and comedians like George Carlin and Bill Hicks and shows like South Park all helped break the ice through laughter, challenging me to think outside of my own political comfort zone. Because that's the beauty of good comedy. With the power of laughter, you have the potential to open hearts and change minds. Made in 2004 after the success of South Park and its own feature film, Trey Parker and Matt Stone set out to make Team America World Police. Thinking it would be a quick and easy shoot by using miniatures and marionettes, it quickly turned into a giant headache instead. It's filmed in the style of Jerry Anderson's super marionation technique, seen in shows like Thunderbirds from the 1960s, and thanks to the help of the Chiodo brothers, professional puppeteers known for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Critters, and Elf, the puppetry, strings and all, still looks incredible to this day, especially now that it's in 4K. Overall, this movie is stupidly silly, offensive, and somewhat dated, but it's a movie that I think every American should see at least once. From the start, you know what Parker and Stone are doing, with the Jerry Bruckheimer-style intro credits ending in a mock universal globe being blown up like the Death Star. We're in action movie spoof territory, and I'm all in already. Then you see the puppetry, introduced by an Inception-like tiny marionette show, being performed by another marionette as a street show, pulling back to reveal that the entire world is in fact full of marionettes. It's all quite silly, but within the first few minutes, you get the tone and the overall absurdity you're about to endure. Now, before we get too far into it, if you haven't seen this film, there's going to be spoilers going forward, so you've been warned. Our opening scene introduces our team of American heroes, adorned in red, white, and blue head to toe. The Hummers, helicopters, jets, and even their missiles are patriotic. The team arrives, guns a-blazing, just in the nick of time to save Paris from evil terrorists. Now, anyone who was alive in the years shortly after 9/11 will fully understand why these terrorists look this way, and I'll get into that later. But after saving the day and losing a team member in the process, Team America needs to recruit a new member. And here's where we meet our main protagonist, Gary Johnston, Broadway actor. Team America's next mission, after all, requires an American actor to disguise themselves as a Middle Eastern terrorist, and Gary Johnston is just the man for the job. Sound ridiculous? Oh, it is. But with Team America and intelligence at the helm, nothing can go wrong. This is where we see Parker and Stone really poking fun at American exceptionalism and the hubris that comes from it. We've been propagandized for decades that we are the greatest country on earth, and by contrast, that every other country is less great and less important than us. This, of course, cannot be further from the truth, but this is the lie we have all been spoon-fed for years and years in America. And this film is highlighting that. Why work in tandem with other nations in the world and try to live in harmony when you can dominate them with brute force instead, especially under the guise of saving the day? And again, people, this was made in 2004, a year after the Iraq War began and a few years after 9/11. But if there are terrorists, and there will always be terrorists in the world thanks to United States foreign policy, have no fear, Team America is here. Never mind the casualties, the excessive property and infrastructure damage, and any blowback that may occur afterwards. Team America is the only one capable of the job. So after an incredible transformation into an undercover terrorist, Gary Johnston infiltrates the terrorist group, and like the great actor he is, passes the test and is let in. He learns of an upcoming terrorist plot, and thankfully him and his team are able to kill the terrorists and stop their attack. This, however, leaves Cairo in ruins in the process. One other problem, it turns out there's a bigger terrorist plot at play being masterminded by none other than Kim Jong-il. Dun dun dun! It's here where I have some issues with Parker and Stone and their commentary on nations and world leaders, but we'll get to that in a moment. So with Kim Jong-il pulling the strings, the terrorists escalate things by blowing up the Panama Canal, killing thousands, and Gary Johnston, the hero that he is, takes the loss of innocent lives to heart. So after battling some inner demons through alcohol, and then purging that alcohol out of his system, he picks himself up again and is ready to fight terrorism for another round. And when his team is captured, including his new lover, Lisa, and is taken prisoner in North Korea, Gary is the only one who can save them. So after an amazing montage song sequence, he sneaks into a quote-unquote peace ceremony held by Kim Jong-il, makes a rather raunchy speech, saves Lisa and the team, and restores peace in the world. Kim Jong-il reveals himself to be an extraterrestrial cockroach and leaves via spaceship, and America has won. The end. So even though this movie is fantastic satire of American militarism and that we act as the world's police, Parker and Stone still towed the line in the end. And I'm not surprised why. To get a movie made, you need funding. And if you're going to make a movie that directly calls out United States foreign policy, that just won't happen without at least some concessions. I personally think it's a weaker story to make the ultimate villain Kim Jong-il in North Korea, when the better and more realistic twist would have been that America is the real antagonist all along. But that just can't happen in Hollywood. Even with the best intentions to critique our military-industrial complex, Trey Parker and Matt Stone had to fall within the official narrative that America is the good guy and insert foreign nation is the bad guy. North Korea and Russia are always the easiest go-tos for screenwriters, with countries from the Middle East being another easy target, especially in the decade post 9/11. Need a mega villain in your plot without having to explain to your audience at all why they're evil? No worries, just scapegoat one of these nations as being involved and easy peasy. You have yourself a villain. No further context or motivation necessary. But the fact of the matter is, American militarism, imperialism, and our general lack of respect for other nations' sovereignty is the real villain here. You see, just like Maslow's hammer, when the only tool you have in your belt is a hammer, it's easy to treat everything as if it were a nail. America has by far the most expensive and expansive military currently and that the world has ever seen. We spend significantly more than any other country on our military, and that includes all of the intelligence agencies within. And when you spend that kind of money, surely you want to put it to use to make it worthy of the investment, right? And that's where we start looking for the nails. We have our lower level to high level terrorist groups, both domestically and abroad, and then we aim even higher for heads of state in other nations, leaders that we don't like. And when a head of state is labeled as a bad guy by the US and its media lackeys, we the people are meant to ask no questions. We are supposed to pounce on our newfound hatred of this leader with all our might, because why would we ever be lied to? This is not my way of saying that Kim Jong-il was a perfect dude, or that any leader of any country is perfect for that matter, but Americans pointing the finger consistently at other nations while being the biggest schoolyard bully of the world is what is truly laughable here. All in all, I love this movie, and I know that it would never get greenlit if Parker and Stone were trying to get it made today in 2024. It's pretty amazing that it got made in the first place, to be honest. The commentary on American exceptionalism and nationalism, our reckless foreign policy, and even having Hollywood actors working within the intelligence state, it's satire that has aged like fine wine. And all of this is only amplified by the puppetry, as we literally see the strings controlling our main characters, but never see who the puppeteers are. So is your American government and our foreign policy. You see what you are allowed to see by the narrative managers, but you will never see who is actually pulling the strings. You are propagandized into believing that you live in a democracy in the greatest country in the world, because that is the stage show being presented to you. And that's why comedies like Team America World Police stand out over time. It's rare to see American militarism be the butt of the joke and satirized, especially nowadays. Instead, we're flooded with media that is 100% pro-military, pro-US empire all the time. And that is entirely by design. By keeping criticism of American foreign policy and our military out of the modern mainstream spectacle, you're bound to get a captive audience that never questions the narrative. But comedies like Team America push back and offer another framing. That if you look past our stars and stripes, the red and blue, it's all a show and we're all being played like puppets. Anyways, that's all I have for this one, folks. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying it over here, and stay tuned for next time.